If something goes horribly wrong, whose fault is it?
There are long-lasting effects on all boxers getting punched in the head. That's part of the sport. You could say, don't have this fight. You might get punched in the head. You might die.
It doesn't affect his legacy. Affects his legacy if he loses.
Doing enough, as you said, wouldn't be enough. Anthony Joshua can't win in round 3. Anthony Joshua needs to win in the first round and win devastating. He can't be getting clipped with shots. He can't get him pushed back.
David, do you think people are underestimating how dangerous this fight is?
A couple of fights ago against Francis Ngannou, when Anthony Joshua can dispatch someone like that as conclusively as he did, my initial thoughts was, this is craziness, this is madness, Jake Paul's going to get hurt. But as time's gone by, I'm start thinking, okay, now that initial shock is gone and the fight is taking place, if I'm Jake Paul, why am I taking the fight? What's the point of me putting myself in such harm's way? If Anthony Joshua's ever going to fight terribly, it's going to be against someone he completely overlooks, someone he doesn't believe deserves to be in the ring with him. All it takes is one shot, and I think Jake Paul and his team believe what they've got is enough to somehow pull off one of the biggest upsets in the history of boxing.
But my concern with it is, though, you said about the Francis Ngannou fight, right? We saw what he did to him. I was there.
Devastating.
And it was almost alarming watching the way that the medics ran into the ring and had to attend to Francis Ngannou lying on the canvas. And he was UFC heavyweight champion. He was deemed as being one of the hardest hitters in combat sport. Now, Anthony Joshua, an Olympic gold medalist, 2-time heavyweight world champion, is looking to inflict that same sort of punishment on a former Disney star. And we're not talking necessarily about the fact that AJ's a heavier hitter. I'm worried about the fact that Jake Paul is a smaller guy. He's not going to be able to absorb that power or take that punishment.
He's the same size as me. So in regards to him being smaller, no, heavyweight's anything over 14 stone 4. That's 90 kilos. Anything over that's heavyweight. So the size factor isn't that much of a problem. It's the skill factor and the experience factor. And, you mentioned the Francis Ngannou fight there. I can guarantee you, Anthony Joshua going into that Francis Ngannou fight, just after Ngannou beat, in my opinion, Tyson Fury, that's a different mindset. He's not going to be fired up like that for this fight. How could he be? How could he be fired up to fight Jake Paul like he was fired up to fight Francis Ngannou? And I think that works in Jake Paul's favour.
I think we're giving Jake Paul more credit and know-how than what he actually has. So we're thinking it from an experience point of view. As a fighter, you're going into the fight. If you get somebody if you're at that level, you get somebody of that level, it's very hard to lift your game. Yeah. So I don't think Jake Paul will understand Anthony Joshua underestimate him. In his head, to do such a crazy thing, in his head, there's got to be some method behind the madness. So that leaves you a couple of options. Option 1 is he's going to get paid a hell of a lot of money. Option 2 is for some reason the fight doesn't happen. Option 3 is if he really and truly believes he has the slightest chance against AJ, he's one of those guys that has no reality, no touch on reality, because you look at the size difference, you look at AJ's resume, you look at who he's been in with, you look at the likes of Tommy Fury, who he's lost to. Does he believe he has the ability to do that? No. Is his ego that inflated now? He thinks, I can actually do this, and if he does, good on him. I respect him for the platform he's created, because the whole world is going to watch this. I respect him for the bravery he's going to show stepping in with Anthony Joshua, because you just think, after looking at fights against Ngannou and I was watching his Pulev fight the other night, you're thinking, why would you do that? So I've got to commend and respect Jake Paul for that. For AJ, this isn't about Jake Paul, this is about AJ. It's about AJ's mentality when he walks in. It's about his hunger when he walks in. It's about his professionalism when he walks in. And it's about lifting it, making sure his A game is there regardless of the level that's in front of him. So we're all going to be watching AJ, not Jake Paul. And that's where the criticism is going to be, because Jake Paul can get in the ring, fall over, bang his head and knock himself out. Fight's over. Whereas AJ, even if he gives Jake Paul 30 seconds success, he's going to get criticised. So that's AJ's motivation, 60 million, 75 million, that's his motivation.
I don't think the money's a factor in it, not for him. I think he's got enough money where he's going for the glory. He doesn't, with 100 million, a billion, it doesn't matter. He believes he's got what it takes to win. Maybe there's stuff behind the scenes. Maybe he's significantly better than he's had to show. Maybe we're judging him on how many years ago? Was it 3 years for the Tommy Fury fight? A lot can happen in 3 years. Maybe he's significantly better than everyone gives him credit
I don't
for.
think Jake Paul's a YouTuber. I think he's a boxer. He's a domestic level fighter. So when people just say he's a YouTuber, he's not.
He's shown he's a domestic level fighter, in your opinion.
Yeah.
But there may be more that we haven't seen yet.
So we've not seen.
Yeah, we've not seen. So there's an element of the unknown about how good he be. Could that be good enough to beat Anthony Joshua on his worst night?
I'll tell you one thing I'm looking out for. I'm looking out for how he behaves himself, how he conducts himself in the build-up to this. Because most fights that he's had before they get in the ring, he's been disrespectful. He's been in the face. He's done something where Mike Tyson's slapping him, where Floyd Mayweather's chasing after him in the street to get his hat, really want to rag him up. So I want to know if he behaves himself in the build-up to this. And if he doesn't, I want to see how AJ reacts. Because I've seen AJ when it comes up to a fight, and he ain't ramping. So if it's all jokey business, I'm like, AJ, that's the wrong thing to do. Because I saw when Dylan White was dancing on the stage with Tyson Fury, I thought, you've lost, he's got you. So you get suckered into that, he's got you. And like when Andy Ruiz walked on, little fat Mexican walked on AJ, it's like, yeah, no big deal. If he gets suckered into playing that stupid game with him, old pals act, then there's a problem.
He needs to be clinical. He needs to
He's just scared the life of him before they even get in the ring.
Literally right down the play. He's not playing. He doesn't have to sell any paper. He's there to do a job. Doing enough, as you said, wouldn't be enough. Anthony Joshua can't win in round 3. Anthony Joshua needs to win in the first round and win devastating. He can't be getting clipped with shots. He can't get him pushed back. He has to have the cleanest performance.
And if it lasts that long,
career.
Jake Paul needs to be holding on to it for dear life to last that long.
Yeah, so
Jake Paul commercially has just as much to lose and can affect his commercial elevation if he does anything less than be his best. Commercially, he doesn't need Jake Paul.
I think the pressure's on Jake Paul. The pressure's not on Anthony Joshua. Sorry, the pressure's on Anthony Joshua. The pressure is not on Jake Paul because no one's expecting Jake Paul to do anything. So he's free. Whatever happens, he's gone out there and done something extraordinary. He's put himself in harm's way, to try to achieve this crazy goal. So but Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, he's only doing it for the cash, for the money, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But he can't look bad. He can't get knocked down. He can't get a cut. He can't be missing wildly. He has to have a punch-perfect performance to justify, just like Ngannou. If he has the same performance against Ngannou,
job's done.
The job's done. But is he going to be motivated enough to be able to switch on? Because he was razor sharp. I was there at ringside with you watching that fight, and that was as sharp as I've seen AJ look.
And the other thing is, Ngannou looked scary. Jake Paul doesn't.
Yeah.
And Ngannou was thick, thick,
big
and that
man,
wide.
I
was interviewing him, so next I'm thinking, damn, you're getting in with him. Yeah. And you're now thinking, if this guy gets one shot off, Jake Paul doesn't have any of that about him. So you're not looking at him thinking, he might get a shot.
Well, if you look at Jake Paul's training footage, he puts out snippets all over his kind of social media and on YouTube. It looks like his secret weapon for the fight against AJ is his jab to the body and overhand right. But what would you kind of recommend his game plan should be going in against someone like AJ, other than just holding it?
I'd say he's got more chance with the left hook than he does with the overhand right. Everyone's chucked overhand rights at AJ. He's figured that out a long time ago. The shot that he got caught with against Andy Ruiz in New York, I was there for it, and the shot kept whistling by. Me and Carl Froch are watching it, and there's a few left hooks that he threw that just missed by like an inch, and me and Carl's like, "Ooh, Andy's throwing the right shots here," and then one of them landed, and it was all over. It sort of fell apart. So I'd say for Jake Paul, trying to exchange left hooks with him, but he's going to have to keep it really tight.
Yeah.
I don't think that the big overhand right. AJ's tall enough to step back. He needs to punch with Anthony Joshua, but is he good enough? It's not everyone can punch with Anthony Joshua. Andy Ruiz, great amateur, international level amateur, a very, very good fighter. He got pushed. He had a close fight against Joseph Parker.
Yes, he did.
For the vacant title. So he's a world, but that pedigree that Andy Ruiz has to exchange those punches close. Jake Paul, as far as what I can see from his fights, doesn't have that. That doesn't mean he can't do it. Maybe I like to see the Lawrence Okoli as one of the sparring partners. He's got real live guys to throw some quality shots at him. How much of that is open sparring? How much of it is tech sparring? Unknown.
Has he got the skill factor?
But he has the right team around him. Yeah. If he is significantly better than we think, the type of sparring partners he's bringing to the table will elevate him.
I heard Don Charles is being taken on as part of the team.
I was going to say that.
I don't know.
Apparently
I haven't
Don
heard that.
Charles has gone over and is supposedly helping him in camp. And as you said, he's got Jared Anderson, he's got Frank Sanchez in there.
These are good names. If I
Lawrence
was
Coley.
having a world title fight, though, all of those names are great guys to mix with because they're all good records.
And in
strong,
reality, he'll not be coming off top in any of that sparring. So his confidence-wise, I don't care what anybody says. Jake Paul will not be coming out there thinking I've done well. So it'll be like, you just throw the jab, you just throw this shot. Because if these guys let loose in sparring, if you're a sparring partner, you're trying to knock the man out. I don't think that'll be the case with these guys because Jake Paul, in my opinion, I don't think he has a skill set to be mixing it with those boys competitively. So if he's hired them and he's stuck with them all the way through, again, I commend him because sparring's not easy. It's not fun.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you spar with Deontay Wilder. I'm like, I'm watching thinking, why would you get him? Why? But your sparring was mad.
I like the fact that as soon as I saw his sparring partners, so Sanchez, I'm like, he's a real live fighters. That shows me he wants to win.
Yeah.
It shows me he's bringing people in significantly on paper better than himself because you can only rise. Nothing worse than having sparring partners that you've got no respect for.
Yeah.
You know, so who would you say? What professional boxers could you bring in where you think Jake Paul is significantly better than? None of them you'd think are worthwhile sparring with. So he's bringing in the best possible guys with the right dimensions, power, active current day fighters. If he's gonna get a reality check in his sparring sessions, it's needed because on fight night he's gonna be getting some real leather thrown at him. So I definitely think if he can get through the sparring partners, without getting injured, I think he's doing the best. The best he can possibly do is spar people better than him, spar people who are world-ranked heavyweights to raise him up. If it takes him from a 7 to a 9 in terms of his own capacity as a fighter, that's all he can do.
You talk about the way that that's going to shape Jake Paul's confidence going into the fight. On Anthony Joshua's confidence, we talk about in 2026, he's hopefully going to be out in February as a kind of a warm-up for
I
potentially...
I didn't like the sound of him having a warm-up fight
Tyson
after this
Fury.
fight. No, but he's already booked another fight after this one. It's never a good sign for a fighter to book something in.
But if the end goal is that Fury fight in September, is taking on someone like Jake Paul beneficial in building that confidence, which people are saying that AJ needs to rebuild? Does this help him?
It's just a cash out. It's a cash out. That's all it is. No matter how you try and look at it, paint it, write it out, it's a cash. It's a cash grab.
I'd rather fight Jake Paul than do what Tyson Fury is doing, which is nothing. So you're saying how's that going to help him prepare for Tyson Fury? What's Tyson Fury doing to prepare for AJ? As far as you got any fighters announced, Tyson?
No, not at all.
So I'm saying, what's the harm in going for a training camp with a new team, a USIC team in Spain, practicing whatever he's doing, having a fight against Jake Paul, obviously massive favourite. Then there's another one in February. I'm not sure who that's against. I assume it's not going to be another massive name, but that's better preparation than doing whatever.
And the other
Tyson's
thing is, fighting Jake Paul, he's going to get more eyes on the prize. More people know who he is around the world.
Break into the American market more.
which will help his negotiations when it does come time to sit with Tyson Fury to work out what the deal is. He'd have had 2 fights in close proximity, which are massive fights, big profiles, lots of eyeballs. So I think it only helps his stock. A lot of people are saying that's bad, he shouldn't do it, it's bad for him to train for someone like that. Doesn't matter, he's a professional. It's like a sparring, it's like you treat it as a sparring session in his mind.
I think that's down to professional jealousy of Jake Paul, because you're looking at this young guy that's really not put the work in to get to where he is, but he's got.
I think you got that wrong. I think he has put the work in.
No, from the outside. That's what I'm saying. You look at that and you think, look at this guy here. He's jumped into boxing. He's a YouTuber. How can you respect this boy here? And he's boxing on a bill. And you know he's fighting. You don't know there's a cruiserweight championship on the undercard. He's packaged himself perfectly to teach a lesson to the young guys coming through to say, right, you've got to build yourself up. You've got to make sure I'm my own PR man. And what Jake Paul has done, he's leapfrogged above so many people that have been in our sport since being 7 years old, and he's got the business side of it bang right. So he's playing catch up.
Yeah. Just on that Tyson Fury fight again with the AJ, people, if you ask fans and they say, okay, right, he'll get through Jake Paul, and then who do you want to see him fight next before the Fury fight? People are saying about the Bacolis, the rematch with Daniel Dubois, but do you think because that Fury fight is dangling there and Eddie Hearn has said that AJ's side have all agreed their terms, Do you think that they're just trying to give softballs until that September fight?
I wouldn't take a chance because you've got to give him softballs in case the wrong AJ turns up.
Yeah.
So if your eye on the prize is Tyson Fury down the road, I wouldn't give him. I keep the risk as low as possible before you get to that fight, because one fight, and we know it can happen. We've seen it happen.
Yeah.
One fight could change everything.
Remember, Joseph Parker was supposed to be a softball for Wilder before their fight. It was leading up to the AJ fight, and we saw how that went.
Happens,
these softball, you can't. There's no softballs in heavyweight boxing, and you have to take each one of them very, very seriously. As I said, heavyweight boxing takes one shot, and it changes the whole trajectory of the fight.
We've spoken about the motivation behind the boxers for why they want to go into it. Now, this fight is being sanctioned by the Florida Athletic Commission. They have sanctioned fights in the past that the British Boxing Board of Control wouldn't even touch.
Yeah.
You've got the likes of when Conor Benn failed 2 tests, he wasn't allowed to be licensed in the UK. Florida said, come over here, we'll let you box. That fight with Tank between Jake Paul and Tank was going to be in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They wouldn't sanction it. Florida said, come over here, we'll do it. They're now sanctioning Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Do you think the Florida Athletic Commission is a bit of a farce?
No, I don't. Two grown men who want to have a boxing match with each other. One of them's 12-1. The other one's a former heavyweight champion who's coming off a loss. They want to fight each other, and everyone's going to pay to watch it. They're there to make sure that the brain scans are clear, that they've done all their medicals, that they're who they say they are, and they get the referee, get the judges, and we get to see a boxing match. I don't think the commission should have too much of an opinion about, just because they think someone's going to beat someone, that can't happen.
And I think if you brought that road show to England, somehow it would happen, because there's too much money, too much attention, too much involved in it, and it would somehow happen in some way.
I don't think they would have let the Tank fight happen.
No,
but two heavyweights fighting, one who's just beat Mike Tyson in an exhibition. Yeah. But it's, I understand what you're saying, but it's entertainment as well as a sport.
My perspective on it is that boxers are always going to say yes. Even if take fighters when they're in the ring, that's when you rely on your corner to have your best interests at heart, that they throw in the towel or they pull you out of a fight, because 99.9% of boxers are never going to want to quit or pull themselves out. You've got promoters who obviously their head is where the money is, so they're going to be thinking, this is lucrative, let's make this happen.
Everybody's
the boxers are thinking that.
Everyone gets a cut from the boxing.
But that's
the coaches,
where we
the
need
trainers,
someone to step in and go, it's not safe.
Whoever steps in gets a cut.
Yeah.
Anyone who steps in is getting a cut. So you could have another commission, we'll have a cut, we'll sanction this, we take this much. It's a money-making machine.
Unfortunately, with boxing, it's the only sport where an individual profits. It's not like football, or an individual profits, either a promoter, a TV company, a manager, the fighter.
Agents.
Individuals profit. So
Sponsors.
Therefore, they all fight sponsors. They will find a way to make it happen. And unfortunately, that question will always be asked. But it's human nature.
Does that not undermine our sport as almost like a corrupt system?
It gets it out there to the masses. As a result of this fight happening, so many people who would not be interested in boxing, got no interest in boxing, will be tuning into Netflix to see this fight
And the
happen.
reason why people, boxing is very different from other sports in regards to its popularity with people watching it, where you're getting the high-end companies wanting to invest and sponsor them, is because our sport at one point was murky. You're talking about fixed fights, you're talking about all these things. That's what our sport was about. Now it's been cleaned up. Now you get guys like this. You get guys like Anthony Joshua. That companies think, I want to be attached to that guy. This looks really good for us. But it's always that question mark. That's why we've not got a union. We've not got things that would take care of fighters after that. Because when they're done, they're done. I can name many top fighters that you'd look at them now and they're in dire straits. Whereas you look at footballers, you look at rugby players, they're taken care of. There's an industry, there's an environment to take care of them. Our sport is very individual and very lonely.
Yeah. But if something, God forbid, hopefully it doesn't, if something goes horribly wrong on December 19th in Miami and Jake Paul takes a big right hand from Anthony Joshua and there is long-lasting effects on him, whose fault is it?
There are long-lasting effects on all boxers getting punched in the head. That's part of the sport. It's like rock climbing. Do you not do rock climbing because you can fall off and die? There's an understood element of risk for every boxer getting into the ring, and you could say, don't have this fight. You might get punched in the head. You might die. So just don't box. You'll be at some stage just like, okay, I'm going to take it as far as I can. And I actually respect Jake Paul for looking at and choosing. He chose Anthony Joshua. It wasn't like it was forced upon him. He went out of his way to say, I want to pitch my skills against this guy here. He's coming off a loss. If there's ever a time to get him, now it is. I think I've seen
the book stopped with Jake. He stopped with Jake. The book stopped with Jake. And he stopped with AJ.
If Nikita had said to him, no, you're not having this fight. It's too dangerous. Okay, you'll get another manager. So if anyone says to him, you're not doing it, he's the prize. He's the one who makes the machine happen. He brings these guys in because they back him, and not only back him, they assist in structuring it so it gets the maximum eyeballs and generates the maximum revenue. So he's got a team who understand him, know him, and want to bring the best out in the event. And he's not only doing it for himself; he's done it for so many amazing professional female fighters, for instance. He's probably championed more female
100%.
fighters
And they've got paid
them more
handsome
money
Yeah.
than any promoter ever.
Yeah.
But no one's talking about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he does so much for the sport that everyone kind of goes, he doesn't deserve it. Well, if anyone deserves a big, massive fight against the opponent of their choice, is someone who's invested time and energy and money into bringing some fairness.
And I hear he signed a lot of UK fights.
Lots
Yeah,
of
he
UK.
has,
He's doing some amazing things,
Yeah.
but no one really talks about that.
Yeah.
They'd say, no, he doesn't deserve it. He's leapfrog everybody. If anyone deserves to do it, who else should? You know.
Well, one of the other things is everyone is loving talking about how this affects Anthony Joshua's legacy. What's your take on that?
It would help it.
Ali at one point had a fight
Wrestling
with a
match.
wrestler.
WWE, yeah.
Didn't affect his legacy.
Doesn't make
This
a
is a
difference.
blip. It's a blip where he gets 60, 75 million for it. It's a blip. It doesn't affect his legacy. Affects his legacy if he loses.
Or looks bad.
Or looks bad.
Yeah.
But to me, I think it's a blink in the eye. It'd be forgotten about. It'd be what they talk about. Oh my God, sorry, Anthony Joshua knocked out Jake Paul. That'd be the conversation at the end of the year. But then in 2 or 3 years' time, oh yeah, he had that fight with Jake Paul. I don't think it makes a difference.
Is there a version of reality where Anthony Joshua's Achilles tendon snaps in the first round? Because stuff happens. Trust me,
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
there. Stuff happens that you don't prep for, that you don't know about, and all of a sudden you're in a situation with one arm or one leg, and you got to fight. If that happens, does he still win the fight? I don't know. It'd be tough. He'll have to really dig in. It'll change the dynamics of the fight. So everyone going saying he's got no chance. Okay, he dislocates his shoulder, throwing a big right hand, and now he's got one arm. Can he win the fight? Some people would say he'd probably be able to win with one arm. Remember when Vitaly Klitschko fought Chris Bird?
That's right, stayed on his seat,
His shoulder came out. What does he do? Okay, I'm sat in the stall. I can't fight because my shoulder's out. If I carry on, I'll probably damage my arm.
And how did that affect his legacy? It didn't.
Didn't make a
He got
difference.
injured,
No,
moved on.
people probably didn't even realise that happened.
Yeah.
But it happened. You know what I mean? So I'm saying, everyone's saying it's. As soon as I heard this fight, I thought this is terrible. AJ's going to smash him. There's no chance in a million years. And over time, I'm just thinking about it. Whenever I've been dead certain on something going a certain way, it never goes, and it's never as clean cut.
So
It's
basically,
never
we
as
should
clean
never
cut.
get predictions from
Yeah, don't get predictions from me. I'm the worst. Honestly, don't get predictions from me.
You know what? If I'm honest with you, I didn't think this fight was ever going to happen.
Yeah, I
Still,
didn't.
this
I didn't.
10%.
Yeah.
And me thinking, nah, I just there's
The
got to be
closer,
something.
the closer it gets, the more I think there's something to what they're doing. They know something. There's some because if he's getting bashed up every single day in sparring against decent levels, why is anyone going to think he's going to be able to do something that he can't do in training when the lights are on? It doesn't make sense. So there must be something. Something must be happening. He must be sparring people and doing very well for them to feel confident enough to put himself in such harm's way.
Talking about training, Anthony Joshua has rattled through about 4 trainers since leaving Rob McCracken. He's obviously now with Team Usyk. Do you think that's a good link up for him?
Yeah, if you can't beat him, join him. He's had two efforts. First effort, not the greatest. Second effort, he did significantly better. I thought he won a few more rounds in the second fight. And mixing with the people who gave Usyk the infrastructure in his training program, I think is a positive thing.
I get that, but I also understand that the way Usyk fights, the skill factor.
It's a skill.
Usyk,
It's all skill. It's not.
AJ's never going to get that in a year. He's never going to get that in 5 years. It's going to take that takes time. That's something that has to be part of walking, talking, just everyday life. So whatever it might be a mindset they're putting him in regards to relax and just how he approaches the fight. But if you're thinking he's going to come out like a
Southpaw.
poor version of Usyk, he might do it for one round.
Yeah.
But then after that, he's going to go back to title.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that. And if I'm honest with you, I struggle with fighters that keep chopping and training trainers, because that tells me they are the boss in training camp, the fighters. You'll do tonight, I'm going to go with you tomorrow. And I struggle with that. And so it makes me also think, what are AJ's ambitions in our sport still? Is to become world champion? Does he really believe he can be world champion again? I don't know. He's still a young man that still likes to hit the bag.
Do you believe he can become world champion again?
No, I don't.
Depends who he fights.
Yeah, I don't. I just think.
Do you think he could beat Fabio Wardley?
I think it's too dangerous. Before I'd have said, nah, no chance. I think it's dangerous. You're putting me with I'd expect him to beat Fabio. I'd expect him to beat Moses. But now you think, I've seen you leave your tools at home before.
So you don't think there's, although Wardley hasn't won a fight for that title, he's got the title because it was vacated. Do you think if Anthony Joshua and Wardley fought each other, Wardley beats him 10 times out of 10?
I'd expect AJ to beat Wardley. But
even now,
but I'd expect AJ to beat Wardley, But
so he can become world champion.
But in my head, I'm thinking, in reality, which AJ is going to turn up? Would I put my house on him? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because he's left his tools at home far too often.
Do you think you can ever get that confidence back? Because physically, you look at AJ and he's in unbelievable shape. He always is. But it's the mental side that people question, and they feel like he's lost that confidence.
Might be when he's 50, but it'll come. It will come.
It's different. It's difference between being in amazing shape, looking in amazing shape, and being in fighting shape and battle-hardened shape is two different things. And sometimes you can't tell from the exterior of someone's body how. But if you look at Tyson Fury, you would never look at him and think, bloody hell, he looks in real fighting shape. But he can fight for 12 rounds. You've seen it time and time again. Whereas AJ, when he fought Andy Ruiz, for instance, or his last fight, which he got stopped against Dubois, the fighting shape, he started going bad and he just sort of fell apart. And I think working with Usyk, he will get in more battle-hardened shape versus physical shape. Or I'm sure if he did a CrossFit or a High Rocks or something,
he'd do amazing on Saturday in his High Rocks.
He'd do amazing. But in terms of hard round sparred against guys that are possibly better than you in different departments, putting yourself in an uncomfort zone to bring the best out in you, maybe his previous teams, who, as you said, he was in control of, didn't. He could kind of pick and choose who he sparred. Where now Usyk's like, no, we're sparring him, 2 rounds of him, and I think that might be.
That's
beneficial.
the only positive I get out of this. He's going to be with a team that are going to take, excuse my French, no shit. This is what we're doing, and this is how we're doing it. He's not going to walk in and say, I'm not doing this today, I'm not doing that today.
They wouldn't have him in with the mindset of anything other than tell me what to do. I'm going to do.
That's the only positive I have out of this. Him doing that with the camp.
I think it's a very positive thing. The feedback I've ever got was he's in control, which is not the worst thing in the world. Mayweather's in control of what he does. It's worked out okay. But in regards to heavyweight boxing and being in the ring and having live rounds of sparring, not conditional sparring, not we're just going to use the jab here. No, pay the sparring partner the bonus to knock him out.
Yeah.
And these guys they got 2 rounds to try and knock AJ out. That's the type of energy he needs coming at him to feel comfortable in that battle zone. Because as soon as he gets to the battle zone, it doesn't flow with it. You see, it seems to fall apart, and I think that's the only missing thing. Physically, fantastic. But it's when it's the battle in that battle zone. Even with Dubois, it was all awkward. It didn't flow, because I don't believe he had anyone in sparring coming at him with the same intensity. Whereas with Usyk team, they make sure their sparring's on point.
I also think, with having been in camp with Usyk for his last 3-4 fights, they're a really analytical team. So they have about 12 people in a team that go through all the data of previous fights and break it down analytically and go through it all. You know, he's getting his heart rate done in the morning. He's getting his sleep tested. He wears sensors in his gum shield during sparring to check his head acceleration. Like, everything is very data driven. And I think with Anthony Joshua, he's someone that he'll respect the team a lot because they're giving him that information. And I feel like he's somebody that builds his confidence off having that information.
I spent 6 years back and forth in Eastern Europe sparring with those guys. And one thing that I will tell you, they're tough. They take no nonsense. It's tough sparring. It's tough in the gym. And I mean, they make them work hard. So there's no soft touches. Regardless of how big you are, world champions, these guys, they keep getting us in to turn them over, to put them at it. So I think with AJ in this situation, if they are controlling this situation, you know, that's the
Yeah,
positive.
I think it's very, very positive for him.